Alright, got some gaming news for you, so let's get right to it. Nintendo released firmware update 15.0 for the Switch. It's not a lot of updates here. One of the biggest ones might actually be the update for the Pro Controller's Bluetooth firmware. It actually might not be commonly known that the Pro Controller and the Joy-Cons can both be updated through the system. This is probably just for like a performance or like a battery bug fix kind of thing, but all the other updates were kind of small. I'll leave it up on the screen right here so you can see all the updates and pause the video if you want. It's been announced that Sonic Frontiers is already getting some free DLC. The game's releasing on November 8th, and on the 14th it's going to be receiving some Monster Hunter related DLC where you get gear based on stuff from the game and a little mini game where you kind of roast meat on a spit, which is, if you're familiar with Monster Hunter, is a thing that you do to cook meat in the better doneness you get of the meat, the more stamina you get from actually eating it as like using an item. It's a little mini game you play and it goes through the doneness and it gets to well done. And if you cook too long, it goes to burnt and then just becomes an unusable item. This is going to be added in as kind of like a mini game to Sonic Frontiers, and the item you'll get out of it will actually boost the character as well. It feels like Crash Bandicoot 4 was just released not that long ago, but a new game is being rumored. I guess some influencers received a pizza-shaped box that was just basically to announce Crash Bandicoot 4 being released on Steam, but on the box was a receipt that said, "Hungry for more? Try out a new Wumpa pizza for $12.08. From what I've been reading, this may be in reference to the new Wumpa League game that was rumored, and sources are saying it's kind of like a 4-player brawler game, kind of like Smash Bros, but with Crash Bandicoot characters instead. $12.08 price is kind of interesting considering the Game Awards is going to be happening on the 9th, so maybe the game will be announced before the Game Awards and then they'll have a event for it at the Game Awards, or maybe it'll even be announced at the Game Awards, or it could even be nothing, who knows at this point. Pilot Wing 64 should be releasing on the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack on the 13th, and there's people saying that the game might actually be targeting a higher frame rate than normal. The original version on the 64 had a frame rate of 30 frames per second, but it looks like the Switch version might actually be targeting 60 frames per second. The YouTube channel Game Explained tweeted about this and stated that the timer functioned a little bit differently in the new footage compared to the original game. It looks like that the timer feature, the milliseconds count differently, maybe even faster than normal, which leads them to believe that the frame rate that's being targeted is higher than the original 30 frames per second. It was announced at the end of last month that Cuphead's getting a physical release on Xbox, PlayStation, and on the Switch, which is totally awesome. It was announced, I believe today, that there's actually now going to be a collector's edition as well for $200, which includes a Cuphead marionette, a mechanical hand crank music box, a custom sleeve for the game case, a map of Inkwell Isles, which is the game world, and a cool theater display case for that marionette. If you're a big fan of Cuphead, this is a really cool collection. I'll definitely be picking up the physical edition on the Switch. I might not hit the collector's edition, but this is really cool that they're releasing all these things. Phil Spencer tweeted a photo of his shelf with a lot of Fallout memorabilia for the 25th anniversary of Fallout this year, and in the photo you can see a small item right at the very top shelf that had the internet kind of going crazy for a little bit. It's a small white Xbox Series S shaped device with a little Xbox logo and a little black oval, which kind of looks like maybe an IR receiver of some kind. The tweet doesn't mention this at all. It just happens to be on the shelf. In the past, Phil Spencer has put some interesting things on the shelf in the background to kind of hint at things coming in the future. He had a Nintendo Switch on the shelf when Cuphead was being released on the Switch and things like that. So, it could be something. It could be nothing. The official Xbox account replied to that tweet saying, "Now what do we say about putting old prototypes on your shelf, boss?" It's kind of interesting tweet claiming this is an old prototype. There were a lot of rumors in the past about Microsoft developing a streaming box that would go along with the Series X and Series S systems. It'd be something small that you could buy for about $100 and stream games using Game Pass Ultimate and the xCloud service. And it would be something if someone didn't want to buy the full Series S or Series X systems. Now we haven't really heard much about the streaming box in a while. Maybe this is a hint at something to come. Maybe it's not. Who knows? Until Microsoft says something officially about it, we won't know. Speaking of game streaming, if you want to see a video about what happens if a game streaming service closes for good, you can see that video right here, and I'll see you in the next one.